The best camera phones have come a long way, and they get better every year. Improvements in sensors, lens arrays, and AI-powered enhancements now offer a huge amount of versatility, not only for photography but for video too. So much so that even professional photographers and videographers can now sometimes use the best camera phones for some of their work. Number 1. Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Samsung's 2022 top-end phone is a super powerful mobile, both in the camera department and in most aspects of its feature set. It has the same array of cameras as the S21 Ultra, the same massive pixel count and pixel binning for improved low-light performance and 8K video recording. But it has a selection of new modes and upgraded specs to make it a better choice for photographers. When we tested out the S22 Ultra, one thing that really appealed to us was its versatility. Whether we wanted to take a wide shot of a big view, needed to jump in close for a portrait shot, or wanted to travel far and really far into the distance for a zoom shot, we could rely on it to provide. Like its predecessor, the S22 Ultra has a massive 10x optical zoom and an incredible 100x digital zoom, but the quality is clearer for longer. Photos taken at 100x are still barely usable, but we found that the clarity at 30x is now very impressive in the newer phone. Night photography has also been improved, with more attractive warmer tones than on the S21. Samsung doesn't offer as many camera modes as some other phone brands, but think it makes up for this in quality. Samsung's portrait mode is outstanding, and single take can be very useful for lazy snappers, since it lets AI decide on the top shots. No, they may not always be to your liking. The big addition to S22 Ultra when compared to the S21 is the S Pen stylus. Great for note-taking and sketching, but what does that have to do with photography? Well, you can also use the stylus as a remote shutter, which we found to be pretty handy for taking selfies or long exposures without having to set a timer. All in all, the S Ultra 22 is our top pick as best camera phone, especially if you prefer Android over Apple. 2. iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Let's face it, if you're a fan of Apple, you're going to want an iPhone. No matter how much we tell you the Galaxy S22 Ultra is the best camera phone, and if you're used to iOS and have Apple products, we won't try to persuade you against it. Apple's iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are fresh out, and they offer enough of an improvement to replace last year's 13 in this list. Like their predecessors, the Pro and Pro Max have significantly better cameras than the standard iPhone, sporting that additional third lens, a telephoto with 3x optical zoom, macro abilities on the ultra-wide, and higher resolution on the main camera. The two phones have the same cameras. They sport new 48MP main sensors that are 65% larger than their predecessors. That means they let in more light, improving performance in dark conditions. The 12MP ultra-wide also gets improved low-light performance thanks to a new sensor and more focused pixels. We found that with an f2.2 aperture. It's also now sharper. Like the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro, macro mode on the ultra-wide lets you take detailed close-ups of anything from food to bugs or plants. The telephoto zoom is also impressive, reaching 6 optical zoom or 15x digital zoom. But that seems short compared to the Galaxy S22 Ultra's max 100x digital zoom. There's good news for pro photographers too. The iPhone 14 Pro can capture big 48MP RAW images, allowing a lot of flexibility for clean cropping and post-processing, and storage goes up to 1 TB to provide space for them. There's also a ton of AI tools to make it easier to get great shots without having to adjust settings, and night mode is particularly good for low light conditions. Overall, we found that images look less over-sharpened than with previous iPhones, and colors look accurate and consistent across all three main cameras. Our only gripe would be the inflexibility when it comes to automatically switching between the cameras. 3. Google Pixel 6 Pro. Google has just announced the launch of the Pixel 7 Pro, and that means that right now, we're seeing some great deals on its predecessor, the 2021 Pixel 6 Pro. We've not yet tested out the Pixel 7 Pro to see how its camera compares and whether it's worth an upgrade. But considering the price of the best camera phones, if you're looking for a bargain, we'd suggest checking the prices of the Pixel 6 Pro right now for the best price on a fantastic Android camera phone. The fact that it's a year old doesn't mean it's starting to date by any means. The Pixel 6 Pro was awarded Best Camera Phone of the Year in the Creative Block Awards 2022. It has a big 50MP sensor on its main camera, which takes in a lot of light, as well as a powerful telephoto and ultra-wide camera. 4. Sony Xperia 1 Roman 4. Sony's been putting out some great cameras, so you would hope for good things from its camera phones, and the 4th generation Xperia 1 doesn't disappoint. It justifies its place on this list thanks to a few key features designed more for professional photographers than average consumers. The zoom camera on the Xperia 1 Roman 4 is a moving lens, which facilitates continuous optical zoom between 3.5x and 5.2x, giving the phone a competitive edge for people who like zoom photography. The phone also sports a physical shutter button, which can be partially depressed to find focus or fully pressed to take a picture, giving a camera-esque experience that can be useful in certain situations, such as when you want to focus and wait for the perfect moment for the shot. Meanwhile, for the first time on a Sony phone, you can record 4K and 120fps footage on any of the 3 rear cameras and 1 on the front, which is useful for videographers and bloggers. We also quite like Sony's creativity apps like Photography Pro and Cinema Pro. There's also Audio Pro for music. The photography app isn't the easiest to use since it's modeled on cameras rather than smartphones, but if you're familiar with using a DSLR, you'll have no problem with it. 5. OnePlus 10 Pro. OnePlus's high-end phone for 2022 offers an impressive trio of rear cameras, with the company's partnership with pro camera manufacturer Hasselblad paying off again. We found the main, ultra-wide, and telephoto cameras offer a lovely shallow depth in a lot of shots, although some might feel the AI optimizations leave the pictures a little oversaturated. There are some unique modes available. X-Pan, inspired by the niche Hasselblad camera of the same name, takes wide panoramas, while 150-degree mode uses the ultra-wide camera to create a fisheye-like effect. Beyond the camera, we found the OnePlus 10 Pro to be a well-rounded Android phone with a good-looking screen, fast charging, and plenty of processing power. As with all phones, it has a few rough edges, and we found it ran hot when put through intense use.